Welcome to the Angel Rewatch, a spoiler-free retrospective podcast on Angel. I'm William.
And I'm Derek, and this is a podcast for No Place Like Plrtz Glrb, originally airing May 22nd, 2001, and written by David Greenwald. There's a lot of hemming and hawing for about 20 minutes, and most of it is important to move the plot forward. Unfortunately, it's a little boring to recap, so I'll give you the quick note version. So off the top, Lorne isn't dead because in order for his kind to die, their body has to be chopped up as well, but Gru disobeyed the Covenant and refused to chop up Lorne's body and sent it to his family for safety. Angel's still feeling guilty, and Fred is still feeling crazy, but they may have inadvertently figured out how to get them home. And Angel convinces her to leave the cave. Wesley and Gunn aren't beheaded because the rebels count with the pace of molasses. Also, why is a countdown needed for a beheading? Anyway, the Covenant attacks the rebels, and Gunn and Wesley help defeat them. Oh, and the episode remembers that Gunn is the main character and tries to give him a lot to say and do, but they still make Wesley the leader of the rebels, which no one, including Wesley, understands. So here's how everything plays out after that. Gru tells Cordelia that if they come Chuck, he will get her visions. Gru doesn't know that the Covenant is planning to kill her once that happens, but Cordelia still doesn't want to give them up anyway. They're painful, but they're a part of who she is now, and they let her help people. Gru tells her that she's a pure human and the visions will overwhelm her eventually, but she doesn't care. Ironically, almost like this is a TV show and not real life, a version arrives just at that moment that involves Gru being attacked by the demon Angel. Angel and Fred meet with Gunn, Wesley, and the Raffles. Fred tells them her theory for how to get out of the dimensions, but first they have to get Cordy. Wesley wants Angel to challenge Gru Slip to single combat, while they sneak and get Cordelia. Angel's nervous, but he agrees. The Covenant breaks into the showroom and demands that the cum shock happens immediately. They're interrupted by Angel challenging Gru in the town square. Silas lies to Gru, telling him that the Angel is there to attack, ravage, and kill Cordelia, and he must stop him. So Gru attacks Angel brutally and fiercely. Wesley, Gunn, and the rebels get into the palace and manage to free Cordelia. Silas has gotten tired of her and is about to perform the ritual without Gru. When Wesley and Crew break into the room, Silas is distracted and threatens them, so Cordelia takes a sword off the wall and beheads him. Cordelia tells everyone they have to save Gru from her vision. Outside, Angel is losing in spectacular fashion, and they shifts in Demon Angel. The fight becomes one much more side in the opposite direction, and then Angel regains control over himself and tells Gru that they're not going to do this. Cordelia rushes outside and gets in between them, even though the fight has already stopped, and tells him to stop because she loves him. She uses this particular verbiage because the writers want the confusion of thinking she means Angel when really she means Gru, because jokes rank above rational thought. There are a couple of funny wrap-up scenes. Lorne says goodbye to his family, who hate him more than ever. Cordelia frees all the slaves and makes it an equal society, and designates her token black friend to explain racism to the Pyleans. Fred figures out how to all get them back home off screen, and they make it back to the Hyperion. Everyone's smiles are quickly wiped off their faces by the appearance of Willow in the lobby. She's crying, and immediately Cordelia and Angel understand that something is seriously wrong. Before Willow can say anything, Angel figures it out, realizing it's Buffy. And that's the end of our season.
What happened to Buffy?
Now she died. I don't feel like that's a spoiler, because obviously something very bad happened, and she died.
If it took a Scooby to come to L.A. in sad face,
and that it's not Buffy herself, she did.
She did. Okay, so I actually liked this episode more than last week.
I found it to be a pleasant experience, but not amazing.
So they come back to their own reality, and we come back to ours.
Sure.
I'm the more positive one. My socks are firmly planted on my feet. Granted, I'm not actually wearing socks at this current moment, but I'm just saying I was not wowed. Right. I don't know. I found a lot of the humor worked more for me in this episode. I just found myself laughing throughout. And the episode had some surprisingly, dark moments, and particularly with Wes. But
yes, but Wesley, here's what I'll say. This finale is good at doing what Pilot Arc's been doing the entire time, which is Cordelia, Angel, and Fred. And it continues to be less than desirable with the other things, which I think are Gunn and Wesley. Because I like the moment that you're referring to when Wesley gets super moody, but my problem with the Wesley story in this is he gets designated to be leader, and he's confused about that, and then the next scene he's a hardened battle commander issuing people to die. And there's no kind of transitory scene between that, and there's not even like a reflection after about how dark he got.
Right. About the only one that recognizes how dark he got is Gunn. But I think Gunn, for sure, in this Pylea arc has been put way to the wayside. Like, they didn't do anything with him. They didn't know what to do with him.
They're fighting for something, and he abandons people too often, so that's full circle. I don't know what you're complaining about. He had one line, and everything was wrapped up, and then he explained racism, and everything was good.
Yeah, I mean, the best moments he's had with Gunn is he's been able to reflect on other people.
Well, Gunn's reactionary at this point.
Yeah.
He's a completely reactionary character, which he does reactions very well, but he needs to do more. And he's capable of doing more. Like, the racism speech is actually pretty well written and delivered. I just think it's funny that Cordelia has to designate the one black guy in the room to do it, rather than Gunn just taking the initiative and doing it. Because I do think he deserves that speech, and he delivers it well. But he's a reactionary comic relief character at this point.
Right. The one moment with Gunn that made me like really laugh is when they're about to get beheaded. And he's like, I got a plan. And he's like, okay, what is it? It's like, you burn in hell, and I'm going to be in the sweet baby arms.
And I'm going to be in the arms of sweet baby Jesus.
Sweet baby Jesus. That was a really good moment. But yeah, they need to figure out what they want to do with this character.
I don't think having him choose between his gang and Angel Investigations is a terrible story. I don't think it's a story that's been told at all.
Right.
But I don't think it's a terrible story.
Yeah, that's true. It's just you can't do that with him in Pylea. Mm-hmm. So obviously his story suffered. With Wes, it seems like they had an arc in mind.
I don't think they executed it.
They did not. They just went.
They just assumed we all got what we all picked out what they were putting down, but they didn't actually put it down.
We need to he finally understands leadership, and becomes this general. But
I think Wesley.
They just went from A to C and never got to B.
And I don't even need them to go to B. I need them to reflect back on B at some point. Like if they didn't have enough time to do B, like if he goes from one scene to the other, then I would just like him to comment on how he went from one to the other. Because I believe that Wesley's problems with being a leader resort back to his confidence issues. And when he sentences people to die, we've seen that side come out of him where it comes out of the same side as his like pretentious thing. It's just a much more darker shade of that where he's very stubborn and he makes a decision and everyone has to follow it, which is a quality of a good leader, kind of, maybe. It's a quality of a strong leader, I'll say, that he makes a decision and everyone follows it just by his sheer force of will, and that comes out of the same thing that he's pretentious and he thinks he's better than people sometimes. So I don't have no problem with what he does. I just need to see him come to that conclusion or reflect upon it later. It just happens.
Right. The nice thing that this episode did was actually have Gunn at least reflect on his transition to that.
That was creepy.
Yeah, he's really disturbed by that moment, and I really enjoy that moment a lot. But I'm not going to comment further yet. Spoilers.
So we could move on to the other four, because Lauren's not dead.
How did you like the opening?
Okay, so I was pretty annoyed that he wasn't. Not that I wanted him to be dead, but the explanation until we got to that Gru actually didn't chop his body up.
Right.
Because I was I couldn't get into any of the jokes because I just thought this is really dumb. And if they wanted to send a message, I think the Covenant would make sure that his body was chopped up.
Yeah, but I don't know, the Cordelia screaming was funny to me.
That one I didn't like. I liked the one when the slave girl comes in. All the jokes.
That one worked. Yeah,
I like those better.
Or the other slaves coming in to take the head away, and she had to explain away, like, I must defile it more.
And then she had to spit on it. It was all fine. It's just I didn't remember the actual real explanation of why he was alive, and I was just assuming we were going with the plot hole that there was a backup in the body dismemberment chamber or whatever. And then I was just annoyed.
Yeah, that's what Lorne assumes. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, it's a good thing that you find that Gruselog swapped the bodies or whatever.
Do you want to talk about the Gruselog? Because I think he showed in this episode that he can't do much more than just be nice. Because when he is angrily attacking Angel and telling him what he believes he's going to do Cordelia, that was some cringeworthy delivery.
He always seems happy, even when he's supposed to be super angry.
Yeah.
I will kill him. He's Fabio. I don't know. I liked, I guess, all the jokes at his expense, like whenever they find Gru in the filing chamber.
Gru-centric joke is when Cordelia goes to hug him, and Lawrence's head is by his butt, and Lawrence says it feels like somebody's been working out.
That was really funny. Yeah. Yeah, he wasn't asked to do, like, all the moments that I like with him are really other characters. Mm-hmm. Like Silas, like, talking him into going to try and kill Angel is really creepy for Silas. His reaction, not so great. Him showing up to the Mortal Kombat and putting his hand on the fire and then having Fred's explanation he's like, Angel going, he doesn't feel pain? He feels pain, but he overcomes all things. Good luck. That was really funny. But yeah, the actual Gruselog,
But Cordelia loves him.
Yeah, well, he's so pretty.
We'll get into that because I have problems with the fact that she called. Well, I do have problems with the fact that she loves him, but I want to save that discussion for feedback because it's really not about her loving him anyway. But the thing is, what I like about their relationship is just that she is so clearly dominant in it.
Sure.
And honestly, Gru is just the male counterpart of so many other female love interests where they're pretty and they have a nice personality and that's about it, and they're supposed to be desirable.
Right.
So I don't have really too much of a problem that he has no personality because it's really about Cordelia.
Right. And like, my favorite Gruselog scene in the episode is actually a Cordelia moment whenever she's saying, you know, I had a really great time being your princess. I thought that was actually a pretty poignant moment, but
my favorite my favorite moment, which we might get into a little bit later because I'm just as stealthy as you, might involve the Gruselog.
Okay. You want to talk about Angel and Fred? Because I kind of bunched them together because
they're always together. They're always together, and they, in an odd way, seem to be going through the same thing somehow, even if they're coming out from because Fred's become more animalistic living in Pylea, and she's figuring out how to be human, and Angel has been trying out how to be human since the series started. Yeah,
they're coming at it from definitely different points. Like, Fred being in there for 5 years has kind of made her crazy. I like the reaction when other characters interact with her and are kind of like, but
when she exclaims, when she goes on her long scientific rant, and Wesley and Gunn don't understand anything she just said.
And Angel has to kind of translate with, she's been here for a long time.
I mean, she's really good.
She's really good. I really liked her in this episode. She's still...
Tacos! I just wanted to do that at some point. And I got it in, so we could continue.
That was perfect. But they used her to really great success. She's really funny and really sweet, and you would understand.
If it was any other actress, I don't think they would have used her as well.
Yeah, I think you're right.
She could have been incredibly unbearable if it wasn't Amy Acker.
That's true. And yeah, she had some really great comedy moments, like I mentioned before at the Mortal Kombat. I was actually less of a fan with Angel's story arc, like just him in general. He didn't have a whole lot to do, you know. I liked him going to finally say, "Hey, I gotta go save my friends. I'm sorry." Like I like that moment between him and Fred.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like him meeting up with Wes and Gunn again, and the whole "I'm ashamed" moment, and like Gunn's super serious face. I don't know. It didn't like. To me, it was his opinion that the gang was never going to be able to be around him again or whatever. Mm-hmm. That they were going to think less of him. I thought was a little ridiculous, but then the gang has a pretty serious reaction and kind of plays into what he feared. Now, granted,
I would disagree. I think I understand what you're saying. That Gunn doesn't laugh it off, but Angel is pretty obviously guilty about what happened.
Right.
And they do tell him it's fine.
Well, Gunn doesn't say anything. He just stares him down.
Oh, does he? Because I thought Gunn said something. And then
he doesn't say any. That Wesley has that moment that later that I really enjoy. Well, I think Wesley says it's all right, and then Gunn gives him a weird look. I can't remember 100%, but Wesley does have that moment later that I want to talk about.
Okay, fine. We can wait. What do you think about the fact that Angel gets the transformation under control?
Okay, well, that is the best Angel moment in the episode.
That's the verbiage. I mean, I don't think it's the best. Maybe it is the best one. But I was a little initially confused, but then I've talked myself into it.
Right. I mean, the fight was kind of whatever. I like initially whenever Gruselog comes at him with the axe and club, but they're stalling out for reasons. Like Angel says, "I'm just trying to hang on," and then once he turns into full on demon mode, I thought that was effective.
I mean, it's not a very long fight actually, because it's intercut with them charging the palace and Silas starting Cordelia. It seems like the fight takes about 5 minutes, really. If that makes any sense, because Cordelia has to get back out to the courtyard in time.
Right.
But
did you find yourself invested in any way? Like,
well, no, because they're not going to kill either one of them.
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess it's true. I mean, for TV purposes, like having Cordelia have the vision that Angel's going to kill him.
I did think that was a good moment. Because Cordelia's visions, it's never been like they haven't come true before. Like right. I don't think the powers that be don't seem to give her things that she can prevent. They present her scenes that will definitely happen at some point, or have already happened, and then they just have to deal with them.
Right.
So when you see Demon Angel attacking him, and we know at this point that Angel really hasn't gotten a grip, we don't really see how he gets a grip, other than I'm just assuming that he has figured out how to pull back somehow. Because I'm thinking when he turns into Demon Angel, it's the same as when he turns into Vampface on Earth. It's just he has to keep... Because when he did it the first time, I think he just goes full out onto it, and I think when he turns, he tries to keep a little bit of himself in his mind when he does it the second time. That's the only
it's kind of... Yeah, it's interesting because with Cordelia's vision, they usually have to interact with it in some way to change the outcome, but there's no interaction with this vision. Angel just has this, self-control moment where he finally goes, "No, we're not going to do this. Mm-hmm. We're going to find another way," which I really like that moment. It is undercut by the "I love him" moment, but I still think that was a good Angel moment.
Well, it's coming full circle that he understands the effectiveness of using his vampire side, but not to be controlled by it.
Right.
Is there really anything else? Because I feel like we're done.
We haven't talked about Cordelia, the actual, I guess, main plot with the Covenant.
Well, who cares about the Covenant? They're evil. Their heads got chopped off, and the end.
Well, it was interesting that they didn't make a direct connection between the Covenant and Wolfram and Hart. Like, they had the books and that was it. There was no other references to Wolfram and Hart. I thought Silas
it was meant to be. I think it's just that they're the figure of evil in this dimension.
Okay. So Wolfram and Hart is just the figure of evil in every dimension?
I think they show up in every... The senior partners exist in all areas. And that's just how they've manifested in the comic. The thing that I find a little bit suspect is Cordelia chops Silas' head off and then none of the other evil priests are evil.
Oh, okay. Well, one, I thought they solidified Silas as being a real D-bag, which...
Oh, I think Silas was a real D-bag and needed to get his head chopped off. But
was good. And I really actually found him getting his head chopped off really satisfying. And I'm really glad Cordelia got to do it because of how much everyone kept calling her a cow bitch. I was like, oh, someone needs to get their head chopped off. And then it happened. The rest of the Covenant not being evil, yeah, that's kind of annoying. But it did mine for some pretty good comedy at the end. Like
the one guy.
Those are sacred texts, which you are welcome to have.
We don't see what happens. I can buy that everyone's so afraid of Cordelia that they're not. That they're going... Because she killed Silas, so why would they go up against her? The fact is we don't see what happens after they leave. And everything could go to hell real quick. Because I thought they're scared enough of Cordelia that they're going to put her proclamations into action while she's there.
Yeah. But, I mean, you can already see... I mean, it's played for comedy, but you can already see the effect that it's having on Pylea. Like, whenever Lauren goes back to his house, who's going to do our labor now? All that stuff.
Gunn's racism speech.
Yeah. Is going to be spot on. Mm-hmm. As far as Cordelia, I mean, do you think they wrapped up her arc well enough?
I think they did a pretty good job, yeah.
Yeah, because I think having her have this position of power and having her stand up for herself and these people, and I really enjoy the moment when she's telling Gru that she wants to keep the visions. I don't
know. Maybe we'll talk about that at some point.
I have a feeling that you were going to say that.
It could happen that in the near future that will be discussed more in depth.
Okay.
The thing is that the season was basically structured this way, where like 3/4 of it was on Angel, and then the last quarter of it is Cordelia dealing with the visions, and then Wesley and Gunn are around.
They're buddy cops.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I think this is going off a tangent again on Wesley and Gunn. I think a better way to take them this season that they could have worked in Pylea is or just in general, if there was more competition in between them to lead the new Angel investigations, and then Deadline happens and they bond, because Wesley almost dies for Gunn.
Sure.
And then once we get to Pylea and the rebels choose Wesley again, and then Gunn feels resentment, whatever. Like, if there was more rivalry between them before they became BFFs, which, by the way, apparently that mud worked wonders, because hours later, those looked like mere scratches on Gunn's chest. And they expand and decrease in size depending on the shot.
It's magical mud. Obviously, Pylea's mud is, not like alien bacteria or anything. No, you don't have to worry about that.
Anyway, so I think that would have been better. What I would get back to Cordelia, though, I think it started off shakily a little bit when Wesley said that she doesn't go out anymore. When Wesley told us everything that is wrong with her without actually seeing any of that. But since then, I think they've done a good job of showing us how the visions have affected her, how the visions are a part of who she is. And even as painful as they are, she's never going to give them up because it allows her to help people.
Right.
And we'll talk about
it later. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's stuff they could have done differently with Gunn and Wes specifically. And it feels like Gunn kind of got lost
because at the very least, Wesley was allowed to be the leader.
Right, and at least they finally addressed it. And I did find why do people keep putting me in charge? That moment was kind of funny, getting to poke fun at, the situation that keeps presenting itself. And then, again, Gunn getting the reactionary line of, I have no idea. But anyways, we can mve on to feedback.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so first up we have Kanum, who said, 3 words about there's no place like... Why did you have to put the name in it? Plrtz Glrb.
Plrtz
Glrb. That was awesome. 3 more. Funny, poignant, exciting, but still there are 3 questions for William and Derek. 1, isn't it a tad bit irresponsible for our heroes to overthrow a despotic regime and then just abandon the new society to pick up the pieces on their own? How very Doctor Who of them. 2, isn't Cordelia using the term love a little more liberally than one would expect? 3, okay, so the Covenant's plan was to get Gru the visions, and then what? Did they expect to be able to control him, or was this all about fulfilling prophecy? That was actually 5 questions, and this episode gets an 81 out of 100. So Kano is very positive about it. That I don't share. Maybe you do.
I'm getting there.
Okay. Well, you want to talk about the first 2, because I'm going to spend some time on the love.
Okay. Well, starting with the Covenant's plan for Gru and the visions, I think it is all about fulfilling the prophecy. The rebels have that line that they'll get to consolidate their powers or something. They'll get to be more in charge once the prophecy comes into play, I guess. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's what their plan is.
I think they could have controlled Gru no problem.
Yeah, because we were already
gullible.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even earlier, like last week, they just say, hey, get out, and he just kind of immediately just goes away. And Gru even says, like, he just follow orders. So I think the Covenant's plan was just to fulfill the prophecy. I don't exactly know if that actually gives them any more power, or if maybe it just the rest of the world will come to them more because the prophecy has been fulfilled or whatever.
Silas gets to control him pretty easily by telling him that Angel's there to kill Cordelia. I think the only thing they could have run into a problem is if they actually killed Cordelia, but I don't. Somehow I feel like they might have gone. Well, he's gonna kill her anyway and fulfill the prophecy. But I think if they kill Cordelia, I think they lose control of Gru.
Yeah, I think that's true. Which their plan's not very sound, or maybe they just overestimate how controlling they can be.
I mean, how long they had this thing locked up real quick?
Well, I think they seem like they're already in control.
Yeah.
I don't understand this whole situation. Now their plan gets mucked up because of Angel and the rest. But overall, I guess that's what they were going for. As far as number 1, them leaving after fixing things is kind of, I mean, it's the TV-ness of the whole story, but I am glad they have the explanation of what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm glad to get out of Pylea, to be honest. I don't want season 2 to start with them still in Pylea.
Yeah, like if they had a whole season about Reconstruction, I might not enjoy myself. This arc was pleasant, I think.
Would be if I had to describe it in one word, I would use pleasant.
Yeah, it was kind of fun. It had some moments, but yeah, I am happy to get back to LA. I'm with Lorne right now.
Well, Angel's not too happy to get back to LA, considering what happened.
Yeah, I think he's pretty happy until he sees Willow. But
all right, but now to get back to which ties into the love. Okay, she says I love because they want to tease again that there is a romantic connection between Cordelia and Angel. And I feel pretty confident we're heading towards that direction. It's not a relationship. I think we're heading towards Angel having feelings for Cordelia.
Right, because his reaction to that is really pretty happy about it. He's like,
well, he says, you love me, and he's first a little bit confused, and then he smiles. And then she says, not you, dumbass, him. And he gets
like, not even a little
he's
bit. Like,
pretty disappointed.
Coworker. Yeah, that was pretty funny.
And then he tries to. The point is that Angel, I feel pretty confident saying that Angel has feelings for Cordelia, but he doesn't want to recognize them. Because when he wants to know if she loves him too, and then he has to rationalize it as just a coworker and friend.
I mean, that's. I can't fault you for that. I think it's probably reading a little too deep into the moment.
I think there are moments where I could read a little bit too much in. I think the first time they experimented with it was in the season 1 finale when he tells her. Because I think sometimes it is just platonic love, and I think they experimented with it in season 1 where he told her that he needed her, and then I think.
Well, I mean, we've seen all through season 2, like, whenever she's become the focal point of, like, being in danger, he suddenly becomes very adamant, and more so than, like, with Wes or Gunn. It's like, it's her.
Yes, in the beginning of Pylea, when he said it's Cordy. He's in love with her. He just doesn't want to recognize that he's in love with her because that opens up a whole can of worms.
Okay, so I'm back in your corner now. I mean, it's after rethinking about those moments.
Yeah. So. I mean, I've been noticing it all season, and I think on my first watch, I think I was mostly disappointed because I'd rather have a platonic female-male relationship, and they were very good at that. But he's pretty obviously in love with her at this point.
Right. I'm kind of the same way. Because you so rarely in TV get to see that, a platonic male and female relationship that doesn't eventually end up with them hooking up. Like, I would like a representation of that, and maybe adding Fred into the cast will do that.
Mm-hmm. Though I think she has kind of a crush on Angel.
That's true.
But as far as them romantically, here's the thing. I don't dislike Buffy and Angel, but they're pretty much divas. And they're pretty dramatic with each other. And there is something quite more natural about the way that Cordelia and Angel interact, and Cordelia not putting up with Angel's crap. Where Buffy just has her crap of her own, and they're just crying and things. Well, they don't anymore because she's dead.
Yeah, Buffy and Angel's relationship was definitely very the sky is falling, apocalyptic. Like everything was this extreme high and extreme low. I can't be with you. It was over the top.
But they made it work. I'm not saying I dislike them. I'm just saying they're divas.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I totally buy into the extremes of that relationship. But, it'll be interesting to see how much they'll go down that line with Cordelia. Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, it's possible you can read a lot of moments in this episode as things that they'll work with next season. Like, the fact that Gunn still comments on his old gang, this love moment with Cordelia and Angel, Wes's leadership darkness, like, and I guess Fred still battling with her own insecurities for being here for 5 years and not being able to interact with people. So, like, those are all threads that they can pull at.
Mm-hmm. I think they will.
Yeah, me too.
But, yeah, he's in love with her. That discussion.
But yeah, Cordelia is using the term a little.
Oh no, I have a problem with it because it's there to tease that relationship, and it has nothing to do with Gru.
Right, she's been here for 2.5 days.
Is it 2.5 days, or is it?
That's what she tells the slave girl.
Oh well, so I think you have 3 at this point.
Okay, so that's true. She wasn't in power at first,
well,
so maybe like 3 days.
So 2.5 to 3 full days.
You've served me faithfully these 2.5 days.
Because I buy completely that she's like sad to leave him, and
he's pretty and they never got to cum chuck. Like, that's things to be upset about. But if she was really in love with him, you think she'd stay in Pylea no matter what.
Yeah, well, she seems pretty okay with the idea of marrying him until it means giving up her powers.
Well, yeah. I mean, the other thing is he treats her like a princess, and the other thing they've done is Cordelia doesn't go out and date at all. It's not like she's going to meet someone who treats her like a princess. Like, I think she might have been happy with Gru if they actually got married.
Yeah. Well, until she realizes that he can't act and it's just a pretty face.
Okay. But I'm saying let's pretend he's not a fictional character who has no personality. And
but he's got those blue contacts. So handsome.
Did he have black? I feel like he had black eyes the first time we met him, and now they're
no. They've been blue the entire time.
Anyway, we can move on to Alicia's comment.
All right. So next up we have Alicia. She says, favorite scenes. Lauren opens his eyes. Oh, honey, I'm right there with you, and scares Cordelia. Take it easy. Okay, get it out of your system. That's good. You have to breathe sometime. Oh, good Lord, shut up, women. I only lost my head technically, my body. Lauren's eyes pop open when Cordelia says, take off your clothes. This is my suit. You think they have French viscosity in this hellhole? Why am I still alive? Oh, God, I'm looking at pieces of myself. Since when do I have 5 toes? Do you mind if I hit him over the head with you? Yes. Feels like someone works out. Why do people keep putting me in charge of things? I have no idea. Lauren opening his eyes and scaring everyone. That's kind of beautiful, ain't it? I'm very moved if I do say so myself. Please do. I feel a song coming on. Thought you might. Lauren singing and the guys on the side of the road fall over. The car and Caritas. Willow. And thank you, Alicia.
It was like completely Lauren quotes. And then
Willow. she really loved Lauren in this episode. I forgot to mention the second time they do the head gag with the rest of the gang. And I thought that worked like 100 times better with them all looking into the basket and going, he was, yeah.
That's it.
That's all I get, and then they go, ah! But I thought that worked really well.
Mm-hmm. We haven't really talked about Buffy being dead.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Because I think it is a very good moment. I also think the episode, and I think it's one that needs to happen on this show or on Buffy. Because Angel needs to figure out that she has died. I do like that it comes at the end of this episode, not because chronologically that it was when he would find out, but also because Pylea is so kind of bloodless when it comes to hurting our heroes, and they get back to LA and they're reminded that any one of them can die at any moment.
Right, like they've come to this fantasy land, and even though that land, even though Pylea had that kind of darkness to it at moments, it was still like they even make the reference to there's no place like home, right? So it still felt pretty clean cut, and so for them to finally come back to reality and this big bomb get dropped on them,
they've made
was a wake up
references to Wizard Rock.
Yeah, obviously, but it's interesting because of where we're at with Angel. Mm-hmm. Like this whole season has been him depressed and being super dark and struggling with the demon inside of him, and then for him to kind of get that realization, specifically in a moment we'll talk about later, and then to finally get his bearings again, only to have this moment. It'll be interesting to see what that does to the character.
Well, I feel like he accepts it pretty, almost in that scene he accepts it. I mean, he's the one that says she's died. I mean, he says it's Buffy, and it's Buffy that has died. But he's the one that delivers the news, because I feel... I mean, Angel always expected to outlive her.
Right.
Just by the fact that he's immortal and she's a human. I don't think he expected it to come this soon or wanted it to, but I think he recognized what has happened right away.
I think he recognized what happens. I don't think he has reacted to it yet. It feels like this is a big shock, like the way his face is set, but he understands.
Well,
understands what has happened.
Maybe.
I just think that
Cordelia looks more upset than he does.
I guess that's true, but he hasn't.
I mean,
just
it's not
don't know
fair
how
to
he's gonna
judge because
react.
it's like 2 seconds where he has understood that Buffy has died and says something, and then we cut to black.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that I think him being a vampire, being immortal, and people dying around him all the time, I wouldn't be surprised when we come back that he has already accepted her death.
I think that will, obviously, they're going to have to deal with that when he comes back.
And I don't think he should spend half the season mourning someone who's a big person in this universe, but we have only seen on 2 episodes of this show.
That is true. At the same time, I mean, they need to acknowledge it. They need to have him react to it. I'm interested in what they do. I don't think they'll spend, like you said, half a season because of basically what they did this season. Mm-hmm. But I think there's going to be some obvious threads that they can pull because he's going... Like, it seems like he will probably feel guilt because he was in Pylea and wasn't there.
Mm-hmm. But it could possibly go that way. Is there anything else you want to talk about this episode before we get into favorite moment and feedback? And then favorite moment, and then we have to do our end of season business.
No, I think we can put this episode behind us.
Okay,
I guess.
All right. So,
favorite moment and scores.
Well, no, are we doing favorite moment and scores first, or are we going to do the season stuff? It's up to you. Let's do favorite moment and scores because that'll just wrap up.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, places like Plrtz Glrb. Which now that I say, the more I say it, I get to sound like the Swedish Chef when I do it, and I'm beginning to enjoy it more.
I think that's the big selling point for me every time I get to say it. But for my favorite moment, I end up going with the moment where Wes is talking to Angel about that he'll come back.
What a surprise!
I know.
I didn't see this coming.
It worked for me for several reasons. I really enjoyed him getting to talk Angel up and for Angel to come to that realization about himself. That Wes says, you know, you're a man with a demon inside you, not the other way around. I thought was actually pretty powerful, and to see Angel's reaction to it, you know, really pumped him up. And it was this great moment. It felt really good for the character. And then you get to undercut it with the darkness afterwards when Gunn asks Wes, do you really think he'll come back? And then Wes says, I need him to think it. I thought that moment had a lot of impact and really hit me pretty hard with what was actually going on, and actually added some real stakes to the episode for me.
Okay. So, in a surprising turn of events, I went with Cordelia telling Gru that she's not going to give up her visions.
Oh my God.
I know. We've already talked about before how in season 1 she gets the visions and she wants to get rid of them immediately. And now we're at a point a little more than a season later where she's given an opportunity to take them away and it won't hurt her at all. She can take them away doing something that she would even like to do, and she doesn't want to do it. Because they've become so ingrained in who she is as a person, and helping people is so much more important to her than any kind of pain. Just the journey of that we've gotten this far with Cordelia in relatively this short of time is pretty impressive.
Yeah, I really... That moment was really great. I do think it's kind of interesting if you replace the word visions with dreams.
Why?
In that conversation. Like, I don't want to give up my dreams to marry you or whatever. Like, it worked pretty
so you're
well.
saying the actual metaphor of it?
Yeah, the actual metaphor.
Okay. I thought you were just saying dreams, like the visions weren't real.
No, the actual metaphor too.
Well, the other thing I really like about it, which we haven't really talked about, the fact that Gru says to her that you're a pure human and you will be overwhelmed eventually. And she says, maybe, but I'm not ready. Even if it destroys her, she's not ready to give them up yet.
Yeah, that's true. And it was a powerful moment for her. Yeah. It worked really well. I just like my moment better.
Okay, that's fine. I wasn't going to tell you it was a terrible moment.
I know. So, scores?
Yeah, why don't you go first?
So, coming back to Mr. Positive, I ended up giving this a 75 out of 100. I thought the comedy worked really well for me. Them wrapping up each character's arc worked well, and there had some serious moments that worked well for me, and I just found myself really enjoying it, and obviously ending with that kind of cliffhanger worked pretty well as well.
Okay, so, I gave it a 64. Because, I mean, it's pleasant. I enjoyed myself.
We just flipped sides.
Pretty much. I mean, it's just, I didn't have a big reaction to this. And because my heart is dead. I don't know. I just didn't. It was fine, and I enjoyed myself, but I wasn't.
How's it feel to be Mr. Negative, Mr. Grumpy Pants?
I've fully embraced that role. So, you're not insulting me.
It felt good to throw that back at you now.
Well, I asked you why you didn't like fun.
Yeah, that's true. Why don't you like fun?
Because fun is awful. They're sweating. Your mouth makes it has weird contortions. Noises. It's awful. It's pleasant. There's a weird bubbly feelings in your body. Ugh. The worst. Ugh, God. Anyway. So, given this is the season finale, I don't feel like we're going to separate this into two podcasts where one is like 10 minutes. Unless that's something you want to do.
No, I mean, the moment we actually get overwhelming amounts of feedback, that might become a necessity. But
okay, that involves someone enjoying listening to us, which keeps dreaming. So we're just going to continue with what we did last year, which was, since the eventual goal is to get to a top 10, bottom 10 overall, and at some point we're going to have to add 2 episodes, so we might as well decide to add 2 episodes this season because it's season 2, and I'm very clever. Anyway, so instead of doing a top 5, bottom 5, we're going to do a top 7 and bottom 7 for the series as a whole. So do you want to do it the same way we did counting up from 7?
Yeah, we can do...
alternating?
Yeah, sure, that works. Do you want to start with the bad, or do you want to start with the good?
Doesn't make a difference to me.
I'll start with the bad and end with the good.
Of course you wanted to do that. All right, go ahead.
So from...
It should be mentioned that season 1 is still in our bottom. It's overwhelming in its domination.
So, starting at the bottom of the bad, which is actually they're better going worse. Mm-hmm. My number 7 is She.
Okay, mine's I Fall to Pieces.
My number 6 is I Fall to Pieces.
And my number 6 is She.
My number 5 is the season 2 episode First Impressions.
Okay, that just doesn't make any sense to me. I still don't understand why I don't like that. So I went with Lonely Hearts for obvious reasons.
My number 4 is Warzone. Apparently have a problem with guns.
I know, apparently. You might think that gun needs to be involved, but every time they've tried to do it, you've been upset. Alright, so number 4 is Dead End, and my boy Lindsay. I feel like that's emblematic about how I feel about him as a character. Also related at the end of that episode.
Yeah, that's true. Number 3, I went with Bachelor Party.
I see. I forgot Bachelor Party. I went with Eternity because of that actress.
I still can't remember her character's name. I just remember her as...
And was it Rachel?
Is that right?
Well, I know her name was Raven, and she played Raven on Your Own, the show that ran for 9.5 seasons before the Idiot Network canceled it.
So for my number 2, I went with Expecting.
That is what I have. We're going to be on mark with this, so I have Expecting, too.
Oh, and number 1, we have A New King of the Hill.
Yeah, which is the Shroud Road, which was just like take every bit of logic and throw it out the window.
Oh, man, that was a good one.
No, it was not. All right.
Okay, so for the good,
mm-hmm.
for my number 7, I have There's No Place Like Plrtz Glrb.
That's what I have Through the Looking Glass, so.
Okay. For my number 6, I have Darla.
I have Dear Boy. Which, actually, I think I rated Dear Boy 1 point below Through the Looking Glass, but when I think about it, it's Dear Boy.
5, I have Reprise.
I have Epiphany. So we're just going with alternate two-parters that we enjoyed.
Part 1s and Part 2s, yeah. For my number 4, I have I Will Remember You.
Okay, I have 5 by 5.
My number 3, I have 5 by 5.
I have I Will Remember You.
My number 2, I have Reunion.
Number 2 is Sanctuary.
And my number 1 is Sanctuary.
Oh, well, my number 1 is Reunion, because you're the idiot that didn't give it a 90.
So we just have pretty much alternating
pretty much.
points of view.
I mean, there's not a whole lot of dissension in opinion here.
No, and it's just...
Well, you don't have dead end at all, but I don't think you hate Lindsay nearly as much as I do.
No, probably not. And it's just how these episodes have hit us. I think it is more opinion-based, and even though we try and use fancy numbers to come to realizations...
Fancy numbers.
Fancy numbers.
Big,
things just...
Big school learning. Fancy numbers. There we go.
Don't make me
I know. I was waiting for
Texas accent.
Texas with it, and you didn't, and it disappointed me. We have more fancy numbers coming up. Got them statistics?
Your Texas accent is actually pretty funny.
All right. But continue.
Well, I was just saying that, things hit people in different ways. And so it's been interesting, even though I think it's nice to see that the best episodes are still, bubbling over to the top, and the worst episodes are definitely going lower. So there still is that kind of consistency.
It's a big sign that our bottom of, I only put 2 from season 2, and everything else is from season 1.
Yeah. And, just looking back at my scores over season 2, there still was a consistency to it, as opposed to season 1 that was just really low with some moments that were good. This actually kept a pretty steady pace and then had some really good moments throughout.
And some really bad moments, like Shut Up for Man.
That's true. I'm actually surprised that I enjoyed season 2 as much as I did. For some reason, I felt like I wasn't going to be as high on it.
Well, I remember liking season 2 a lot because of Darla. I didn't.
And see,
what?
Well, I was just going to say that I didn't necessarily remember having that great of a connection with Darla. Like, I didn't find, or at least I don't remember on first watch being connected to her as a human and then still being connected with this character once she gets turned again. Mm-hmm. So I think that hit me more so on rewatch, and just the overall Angel storyline of being this metaphor for depression.
That's something I
really
discovered this rewatch that I didn't remember at all, or didn't even notice. Moving forward, though, I do not remember season 3 really at all, which could mean anything. Because I do remember seasons 4 and 5, and that's not all positive memories.
We're getting to the point where I'm going to start remembering more of the season, so I have both high expectations and then really low ones. Not coming up in this next season. I actually kind of remember enjoying. So, I'm hoping.
Well, I think we both are in agreement of the low expectations will be delivered in the not so distant future. But I do not remember season 3 at all.
All right. So next up, we have some statistics. Mm-hmm. About season 2.
Could you do them all like that?
I could do them all in a thick Texas accent if y'all prefer.
y'all does.
I'm just a Southern boy, but no. I'm Andrew did his statistics for season 2 like he did for season 1. So he says, the numbers for season 2 seem a little light, more story than action, but still keeps one's attention. So first he had Angel. He saved 20 people, 12 of those were in cages, walked through double doors 3 times, killed 18 demons, 6 vampires, 0 humans, 2 Pylean soldiers. He took his shirt off 7 times, gets shot 3 times, and knocked out once, reverted to vampire with a soul 4 times. Wesley has 2 kills, plus 5 Pylean guards, proving he's a badass outside of LA, KO'd once. Throw trauma twice, this means more later. Cordelia had 12 visions, KO'd twice, impregnated once, called princess twice before Pylea, then it's every sentence. Kills 1 vampire and 1 Pylean monk. Gunn killed 2 demons, 2 vampires, 2 Pylean guards. Lorne sings 8 times, reads 8 times. Darla knocked out once, kills 4 people alone, 11 lawyers with Drusilla. Drusilla 1 alone plus lawyers. Lila and Lindsay do nothing.
I mean, that's pretty accurate. I mean, it's not. I think it's like just kills, but Lila and Lindsay doing nothing is pretty accurate.
Windows, someone thrown through 4 times. Angel gets thrown through 3 times. Angel jumps through 7 times. Angel throws someone 5 times, plus Darla through 1 door. Psychic Girl blows out the top floor 18 windows that can be seen on that side of the building. 2 car windows, 7 in general. We had 6 flashbacks. Something conjured twice. Guns are pointed 9 times, fired 13. Body
Wait, how are they pointed 9 times, but they're fired more than they are pointed?
I guess that we visibly see them point at someone.
Or is it just the pointing? Is it pointing and firing 2 separate statistics?
Yeah, because I can think of the episode where they have Wes in the ambulance, and they drive, and the zombie cops have already set up a barricade. Like, they're not pointing the guns. Like, you don't see them physically point, and they just start firing. Okay. So maybe that's what he's counting. So body count, we had 9 zombie cops versus a real one from season 1, 18 civilians plus 15 lawyers, 4 vamps, powers that be mentioned 9 times, senior partners 10 times, see the LA River 6th Street Bridge twice. This starts showing up more later. Pylean body count, 3 rebels, 3 soldiers during the raid, 1 slave, 1 townie.
Okay. Is there anything that I didn't interrupt you, that we didn't interrupt before that you would like to point out? I do want to put an asterisk on Cordelia getting impregnated once. Like, when we total up total pregnancies, I feel like I want to put an asterisk for this one because they use impregnated, but I don't feel the same way as in season 1. I mean, it's ridiculous that we have to talk about her being impregnated twice anyway by demons. Right. But I would put I mean, I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying I would put an asterisk on when the eye demon puts the
thing in the back of her head. Yeah, I guess that's true. Well, the way they describe it, I guess, keeps in line with using the word impregnated. And
the door that Darla is thrown through has a lot of windows on it, so that is, you know how I feel about the windows.
Well, I'm surprised.
By the way, what is the point of that door?
I don't know.
It goes
really
into
nice
Angel's bedroom, and there's curtains on it, but you'd think if there's doors to a bedroom and a bed, you want it to be private, but apparently not in the Hyperion.
Yeah, the fact that it has windows, that is kind of strange. It does, I mean, it's a beautiful room for that hotel. Side note, I used to work at a hotel. I mean, there are suites or, really nice rooms.
Were there any where the bed is in a separate area where it's clearly visible?
Yeah, that's not the case. I think they were just going for artistic style.
I think it's because it's awesome when people
functionality
go windows.
Well, I'm just kind of sad. I don't remember the exact term, but what's the term where when you get thrown through a window, the glass cuts you up?
I don't know. That's a term.
There is a specific term, but I forget what it is. But
lacerations? That's a thing.
There is an actual phrase.
Okay, why? Well, why do you want to know this?
I just for my own.
Yeah, but you were talking about something before. Just you want to.
Oh, I'm the fact that all these people get thrown through windows, but okay, here's the word: defenestration.
That was worth it.
It was worth it. The fact that all these people get thrown through windows, but there are no lacerations. And it's a TV thing. But I actually get really happy.
Do you want them to score their actors?
No, but if you're going to throw Angel through a building, then you can still get away with it. Or through a window.
Sure.
I don't know. It's a small thing. It's just weird that through TV we always have these moments where people get thrown through windows, and like 9 times out of 10 they never. It's just a TV thing that they do. But because actually it's really dangerous to get thrown through a window because you'll just get cut up.
Sweet.
I know, but I like the realism as well.
This is a show.
He's a vampire. I know.
And you're looking at, well, then when they're thrown through the windows, they don't get lacerations. I am very upset by this.
Why did you start talking like Yoda?
That wasn't Yoda. I don't know what that was, but it wasn't Yoda.
So are we ready to move on to the plugs?
I'm never ready to move on to the plugs, but I don't have anything more to say with the statistics.
I just wanted to say one quick thing before we wrap things up. I'm actually really happy that we made it like a full year. I have that whole Throwback Thursday app or whatever, and looking back at us first getting started, it was actually pretty cool. And I just wanted to say thank you to all the listeners that have stuck with us or just getting started with us. I've actually had a really great time doing this. So,
aren't you being all sweet? I don't have anything nice to say because my heart is dead.
Anyways, if you'd like to leave us some feedback, you can do so by commenting on the post at theangelrewatch.wordpress.com. Or
you can send an email to angelrewatch@gmail.com.
Or you can call our voicemail number at 206-203-3276.
You can go to the Tumblr, which is I never remember what I'm supposed to do. You can go to the Tumblr, which is theangelrewatch.tumblr.com. See all the reviews archived there and the guests of whatever episode we're watching.
We're available on YouTube, iTunes, and Stitcher. While you're there, please leave us a review. It helps promote the show. You can follow me on Twitter at NerdGuyWilliam.
And you can follow me on Twitter and Tumblr at The Comfortador.
And next time, we'll be reviewing Heartthrob, where as Angel mourns Buffy's death, he battles a lovelorn vampire seeking revenge for the death of his beloved.